Many people bring you what they think. Many people bring you what they believe. This is the only place that consistently brings you what we know. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the super fortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio. I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And I wasn't going to do a broadcast tonight. I actually wasn't going to do one. We're hard at work getting other things done in here, so I actually wasn't going to do that. But a few things did happen. A few things did cross my mind, and I did decide that, I might as well go ahead and see if I can weigh in. So, of course, I am here. Let me go ahead and boost a couple of people and make a few mods while I'm at that here. I don't know why Incandescent is not showing up like he should be. I don't know why that's happening. But tonight, what is happening here is that a couple of things caught my eye. And I want to discuss those things with you there. Now, first of all, as you'll all remember, I told you before, I wasn't really going to say a whole lot about Ferguson, because a lot of these things are cut and dry. And while you've got a lot of folk out there who are guessing their way and trying to con their way and bluff their way through discussions of this kind, the Black Channel is the only place that consistently is able to consistently predict, project, and codify, look it up, the outcome of these kinds of things. And more importantly than just the outcome, we are also able to codify for you the cause. And that is more important than anything, because you cannot fix your problem if you cannot face your problem, and you cannot face your problem if you don't actually understand what your problem is. Now, Ferguson is a place that before 2 weeks ago, nobody was talking about. And today, everybody's talking about it as the Intifada, which is what that really is. It is not a riot, it is an Intifada, it is an uprising. It is an uprising in Ferguson. And as the uprising has continued now, a lot of people are not aware of what has actually caused that. Remember, this microphone was the only one that explained to people in detail exactly why it is that the situation in Ferguson has occurred. That you do not have control of the police because you do not have control of the politicians, and you do not have control of the politicians because you do not have control of your economy. But brothers and sisters, you know that nobody has ever actually sat up here and explained to you exactly the numbers, the math, the facts of it. Only the Black Channel can do this. Only the Black Channel will do this. Ferguson is a town of 27,000 people. 27,000. Of that 27,000 people, 67%, practically 70% of the population, 7 out of every 10 people, are black. That's right. So roughly about 18,000 people in Ferguson are black. But now here's where the rub comes in. Here's where the rub comes in. There are 7 government officials who run the town. Your mayor and the 6 ward councilmen, whatever you'd like to call it. You have your 6, the members of the city council. You got 6 of them and 1 mayor. That's 7 people. Brothers and sisters, the mayor is white, and of the 6 city councilmen, 5 of them are white. I haven't been able to confirm David Conway exactly. They don't have a picture of him. It's been very hard to find one. I don't have a lot of time. I didn't have a lot of time before broadcast time to look for it, but I'm assuming he's white also because they don't have a picture of him. So of the 7 people, the mayor and the city council, out of the 7 people who run and make all the definitive decisions for that town, only one is a black man. Only one is a black person. Everybody else is white. In a city, in a town that is 67% black. 67% black. And yet the government itself is only about 15% black. That's right. No, it's not a joke, people. It's not a joke. Your town is 67% black, but the government is like 13 or 15%, however you want to thread that needle. That is the percentage of the government in Ferguson that is black. And you wonder why you're in the situation that you're in. And brothers and sisters, the majority of the police department in Ferguson is white. The mayor is white. Most of the city council is white. The police department is mostly white. And you wonder why they feel that they can murder, brutalize, and kill you with impunity. And you wonder why that is. Brothers and sisters, only about 10,000 people in Ferguson would constitute the non-black population. 18,000 of you are black. About 10,000 are white. And yet, that 10,000 dominates the 18. Let me say that one more time. It is apartheid. That's right, because people have told you there was a problem, but they could not explain to you exactly and articulate exactly for you what the problem is. The problem is math. The problem is mathematics. If you've got deluded friends and family out there who do not understand that math is the issue, you need to let them know that the Black Channel is broadcasting tonight. Brothers and sisters, this is a problem of arithmetic. In a city that is 67% black, and yet you have no real estate in the gears of government, in the machinery of business, and at the controls of society, you have no real estate. You might as well get rid of your black city councilman. Let me just tell you right now, you might as well get rid of him. There is no reason for him to be there. What good can he do you? He can vote no on everything. He can vote against everything. He can be in the negative on everything, and it will not matter. He is just another spectator in attendance at every city council meeting, right there with his black constituents. He means nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. He might as well not even be there. He might as well not. What is his purpose? What is the consequence of him being there? What can he change? He is outnumbered, literally outnumbered, 5-1. But in the population, black people outnumber whites 2-1. 2/3 of the town of Ferguson is black. 2/3. But the white 1/3 dominates the black 2/3. Now, there are a lot of you out there who are liars, clowns, frauds, idiots, lazy, bummy, dusty, make excuses for everything. You don't respond to problems with solutions. You respond to problems with excuses. And that is what makes you inconsequential in every discussion of this kind. And a lot of you come up with a lot of excuses, and you tell yourselves, oh, if I had been alive during slavery, I wouldn't have we couldn't have been the majority of the population of the state of Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina. Well, you get the point. Because you do understand several states, including the ones I just named, had majority black populations. Go look at the census leading up to 1864. Majority black populations in southern states, and yet black people, who were the dominant population, remained dominated the whole time. But if you had been there, something would have been different, right? And yet we look at Ferguson. All of you are talking about South Africa and apartheid, and they've got an apartheid system right here, right now. It's alive and well in Ferguson. Black people are 2/3 of the population of the town of Ferguson, 67%, and yet the 1/3, the 9,000, dominate you. They dominate you. But you told yourselves that if we had the majority of the numbers, that's what we're missing, is that we are not a majority. We must flee. We must flee to Africa. We must flee to Africa, where we will control the numbers and thus will control the machinery of government and the economy. And I am showing you places right here in America where you are the majority of the population and you control nothing. But you got plenty of excuses and plenty of lies. That's what you got. And you're telling me that if you were running things, things would be far different than they are right now. Who the hell you trying to fool? No, brothers and sisters, there's only one place that explains it to you like that. Please tell me, will someone explain to me the geography of Ferguson that allows for 2/3 of the town to be black and yet 85% of your city government is white? How does that happen? Somebody explain to me. How do you have a population of black people this vast, and yet city council after city council after city council keeps electing white people to run your city, to run your town? How does that occur? Has anybody actually asked that question before you saw me post this today? Because I've given people plenty of time to go look this up and to research it and to state it. Before you saw me post that up today in the official Jason Black group on Facebook, tell me, who did you hear talk about this before today? I'd like to know. Who gave you those numbers? It was as simple as going to their website and looking at the Ferguson City Council. It was just that simple. And what I'm telling you all is that being poor is what did this to you. Being broke and bummy is what did this to you. Being bastard baby makers is what did this to you. Because you're concerned about having some dusty broke Negro lay on top of you to get you pregnant so you can get your Section 8 voucher. And they can go shovel all you Negroes off into a giant housing complex. And the black city councilman, I wonder, anybody want to take a guess what part of Ferguson he represents? Anybody want to guess what part of Ferguson that the black city councilman in Ferguson represents? Anybody want to take a guess what part of town he represents? How much of the black population do they have shoveled off into one district? And the whole rest of the town, black people are scattered, but you do not make the majority of the population. And then you wonder why the police chief and the prosecuting attorney and the mayor are all able to conspire against you. And you wonder how that happened. You see, if you owned black businesses, you would be able, do you all remember what I said 2 broadcasts ago about Ferguson being the next Black Wall Street? Remember what I said? You start building your businesses and then you spread out from there. What Ferguson has just told you with just the information that I just gave you, just with those numbers right there that I just gave you, that tells you that black people in Ferguson have been pretty much isolated in one district. You do not have mobility. Notice I did not say upward mobility. I said mobility. How many of those black children in Ferguson, in that housing project, how many of the black people in that area have ever even left their district? How many? Simple question. How many of the black people in that black district have actually ever even left it? How many have ever even actually migrated out of it to the outside world to at least see what it looks like? How many? How many? The Black Channel is the only place that has sat down and explained this to you in detail. You want to know why Ferguson is in the shape it's in, and I'm telling you that after they're finished railing against the police, that's a start. But brothers and sisters, where is your plan to take control of your economy so that you can remove those white politicians who feast on you and brutalize you? Where is your plan to do that? Where is it? I explained it to you all 5 days ago, and now I've given you the documentation and the numbers that prove it. Ferguson, nothing is going to change for you until Ferguson gets tired of being Ferguson. It is a damned shame. First of all, how many black people in Ferguson are even eligible to vote? That's the first question. How many black people in Ferguson are even eligible to vote? How many? Because from what I'm seeing on your city council, when the town is 2/3 black, but the city council is 85%, the city council and mayor government are 85% white, that tells me that you all ain't doing a damn thing. You're not doing a damned thing. How is it that your government is 85% white if your city is 67% black? How can that be? That tells me that black people are not voting in Ferguson. They are either not voting because they do not want to, or they are not voting because they are unable. And when you've got urban slum and squalor, then yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of black people who are completely ineligible to vote. And of those who are, the bastard baby makers, the bastard baby makers don't care. The average single mother don't give a damn about voting. She'll vote for president because she understands that's where her welfare check comes from. That she will. But the city, she doesn't give a damn about that. As long as she's got a Section 8 voucher, the only thing she's concerned about is, are there properties that accept Section 8? As long as she's got that, she could give a damn about her children being raised in a cesspool. She could care less. And the white city council knows this and understands this and is killing you with it. They are killing you with it. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that that's what's occurring. What they want to hear is that, well, if we can change our situation without changing anything else. They want someone like me to lie and to tell them that you can change your situation without changing anything else in Ferguson. Brothers and sisters, complaining about police is not going to change Ferguson. Lawsuits are not going to change Ferguson. Protests are not going to change Ferguson. Black people in Ferguson getting together and saying that we're all we got, we must stick together, and the number one agenda for the black citizens of Ferguson is and must be economic empowerment. We must open, run, and control all businesses within our domain of Ferguson. And everybody who is not doing that, you got to get the hell out of town. Don't know where you're going to go, but you can't stay here. That is what you do when you are serious about fixing your problem. Brothers and sisters, it is a damn disgrace what we are watching in Ferguson. It's a disgrace because the truth of the matter is black people are going about this all wrong. Dr. Claude Anderson told you about the 5-story structure. That a society is a 5-story structure, and the foundation, the first floor of that structure is the economy, the economics, the money. The money is what everything else is based on top of. On top of the money comes the politics, then the court system, then the media, then your education system. Brothers and sisters, we're talking about the city council tonight, but why is it that the city council is a testament to white supremacy? And you cannot take a look at that city council and come to any other conclusion. That city council and that mayor are testaments. That whole picture. When I tell you that this city, I'm going to show you the city council of a town in a southern state that is 67% black. Let me show you the city council. And then I flop out that there is only one black person on a city council of 6 people. But the town is 67% black. People, you got a problem. And the reason that your city council is so lopsided in favor of white supremacy is because you do not have or possess an economy with which you can select your politicians. It is not enough to complain about politicians. You must be able to empower them. You must be able to have people in office who protect your interests. That's what you've got to be able to do. You have got to be able to put people into office who protect your interests. And if you are unable to do that, nothing else is going to work. Nothing. Nothing at all. It's just that simple. It's not going to happen. Now, I know that you probably wanted to hear something else. You wanted somebody to lie to you. You wanted somebody to sit up here and tell you that, oh, you can control the politics by voting alone. How's that working out for you in Ferguson? How is that working out for you in Ferguson? Tell me how much good the voting alone is doing in Ferguson for those of you who can vote. It does you no good to talk about voting if you cannot select and control the politicians that you are voting for. And the town council of this town of Ferguson is a testament to that. You did not select these politicians. You paid no money, so you do not control these politicians. And thus, they are dominating you. But it's the same thing in bigger cities, people. In New York, in LA, in Dallas, in Houston, in DC, we can go down the list. You just take whoever the party throws at you. Whoever the Democrats sling at you is who you take. Why? Because you are not able to select and build politicians from the grassroots yourself. To be an effective politician, you must be seen, you must be noticed, and you must be liked. People have to notice you, that is, they have to recognize you. People have to see you. They have to see that you're active in the community and feel they connect with you, and they must like you. You can't just drop in out of nowhere and think something's going to work. Now, when you've got all three of those things, and then one of the major political parties starts putting big money behind you, what happens next? You become a player. And black people do not have the ability to finance our own candidates. Thus, we don't have any players on our team. All you've got are a bunch of people who were selected for you by the Democrats. How's that working out for you so far? You will not be able to fix your problems in Ferguson until you understand that. Now, let's just move on to the next order of business here. If I refuse to build an economy in Ferguson. I ain't doing that because economics don't have no swag. Thus, you do not have control of the politicians. Well, we don't need control of the politicians. I will file a lawsuit in court. It's not going to bring your dead child back, but okay. Since you value money more than the lives of your children. And doesn't that sound like bastard baby makers? They value a check more than the life of their child. And anybody who wants to get upset that I said that, am I lying? Is what I just said a lie? Do they not value a check, a purse, a pair of shoes? Do they not value those more than the lives of their very children? I'm not being mean. I'm asking you all an objective question. Do they not value a check more than they value the very lives of their children? Is that not what they do? Understand, that is what occurs here. That's what occurs. Now, you can file a lawsuit. You go right ahead. You do that. You file a lawsuit. Go ahead and do that. First of all, you've got to get a conviction of somebody. You've got to get somebody to say that whatever happened to you was wrong and you should be compensated for it. Now, if you're 67% of the population and you haven't even been able to take control of the city council, we'd be some kind of damn fool to think that you're capable of taking control of the city courts. But, okay, we'll just say that you got control of that too. Brothers and sisters, even if they pay you $3 million or $5 million for your dead child, isn't that amazing? They can put a price tag on the life of your child. It's not $100 million. It's only $2 or $3 million is what your child is worth. Ain't that something? $2 or $3 million is all that your child is worth. So they flick you off a check, and then what? And then what, people? I'm asking you. And then what? They give you a check, but your child is dead. The way white supremacy measures it, it's more efficient to just keep killing you Negroes and to write a check. It didn't give you any power at the city council. It didn't give you any control of the economy. It didn't give you anything. All you got's a check. That's all you've got. That's right. So even if you do, filing lawsuits ain't gonna make a difference. You can do it all day if you want to. Filing lawsuits is not going to change your conditions in Ferguson. That's not going to change anything. And you don't seem to understand that. But you don't understand that because many of you in Ferguson are happy slaves on the plantation. As long as massa ain't busting that hickory over your head, you just go back to picking the cotton. When you all get done out there in the streets, I want to know what the plan is for building an economy. I will respect what you are doing in the streets right now if you come out of it with a plan for what you're going to do for your economy. You come back with that, and I can respect what you're doing in the streets. I can respect that. This is the Black Channel. We are the only ones who do what we do here. What you heard tonight in the last 30 minutes, you have heard that nowhere else. You got information here you didn't get from anybody else. And that is why, finally, I say to you, and what are you going to do about it? I don't want to see any more people going to Ferguson taking selfies of themselves. You went to Ferguson, but what did you do when you got there? Tell me what the plan is. Or is Ferguson now just a tourist attraction? I want to know what your plan is in Ferguson. You got rappers going down there taking selfies. I want to know what your plan is. Negro, you got $1 million. Are you going to open a strip mall? Are you going to open a shopping plaza so that we can get that economic base propped up and kicked off here? Are you going to do that? Are you going to take $500,000 and do it? Because if you are not, get the hell out of there. You're wasting everybody's time. Get the hell out of there. Because you cannot complain about police who are killing you when you don't own anything. Brothers and sisters, what do the black people of Ferguson own? I'm going to say something tonight that's going to offend most of you. But it's the truth. And your parents are liars and cowards, and they would not tell you this because they lied to you. And now they've made a coward out of you because you refuse to face the truth. A person who does not own and control something has no rights. If you do not own and control and have something to pass down to your children, you have no rights. You want to go file a grievance with the city council. Tell me, what are you filing it over? Your child? That's all they own in Ferguson are their children. Congratulations. If you do not own something, control something, and are passing something down, you have no human rights. You have no civil rights. You have no constitutional rights. You have no rights. Oh, you're gonna get mad at TBA for saying that. You're gonna get mad at me. Why don't you go take your lazy, worthless ass out there on that street and go show me the poor people, the impoverished people, and their rights? Why don't you show those to me? Go into your court system and show me the rights of the poor, the rights of the destitute. Show me all the people who own nothing and control nothing and yet have rights. Show them to me. Show them to me. I want to see them. No, that's a tough pill for you to swallow. But that's just the reality of it. I said it 5 days ago, and it's just as true today. Poor people have no rights. You have none. So the question now is, are you going to remedy your rightless state, if I can use that phrase? Are you going to remedy that, or do you think that you're going to be able to whine and complain your way into having rights? Brothers and sisters, a check is not having rights. A city council resolution is not having rights. That's not rights, people. You don't have rights because the city council gave you a check. You don't have rights because the city council gave a playground. You don't have rights because you got a Section 8 voucher. What you own and what you control determines whether you have rights. Because what are you trying to exercise? People, understand something. Don't you know that if you're walking through a shopping mall and the only thing you own is your body and the clothes on your back, tell me, what rights do you have? What rights do you got? Rights to the clothes and Dillards? Is that what you got right to? Do you even have rights to the very floor that you're walking on? When you walk into your school, what rights do you have? You own nothing. Rights are something that are attributed by ownership. But if you're the guy who owns nothing, tell me, what are you exercising? What are you demanding to exercise a right over? You're saying I have a right over something. Okay, explain to us, what is it that you have rights to exercise control over? No, they didn't explain it to you like that. They didn't say it to you like that. And your parents did not say that to you like that either, because do you all notice that you're no good, worthless, coward ass elders? Do you notice that you never hear them talk about what they're passing down? I want to know from all of you out there tonight who want to defend the jigaboons that you call your parents, tell me, what was the conversation that you had with your parents about what they were preparing to pass down to you? Because you see, there are a lot of liars out there. Most of you are liars on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere. You're mostly liars. Because you claim that your parents are passing something down to you, and yet we can't see it. We can't see it. We can't find it. We can't identify it. You can't describe it, and you can't prove it. So for all of you who say that you're having discussions with your parents about what they're going to pass down, I'd like to hear that sometime. I want somebody to come to the Jason Black group, and after this broadcast, I'll post that up. I want you to tell us about the conversation that you had with your parents about what they are going to be passing down to you. How many of you have had a conversation with your mom and your dad about what they were going to pass down to you? How many of you? You see, that is the reason that they don't like this broadcast. They don't like it. Older folk hate my broadcast. They despise it. They like everything right up until I start talking about what you own, control, and then that last part, what you're passing down, because then they have to take a look at their lives. And that's when Shaniqua and Shantanika and all the old hoes of the civil rights generation, because they were a bunch of old hoes. You should have seen them back in the 70s. That's why guys like Nikki Barnes and Frank Lucas and Frank James were able to sit up here and run through so many of them. Most of your mammies were like that, but let's just be honest about it. In any case, they don't like talking about what you own and control. They never discussed that with you. Have you ever had the courage to ask your mom and your dad, hey, mom and dad, what did you do with your life that you're not passing anything on to me? Because power is defined as what you own, control, and are passing down. What are you passing down to me? What are you passing down to me, Mom and Dad? What are you passing down? And then I want you to explain to me why I should respect you. How many of you have the courage tonight to make that phone call? How many of you have the guts to make that phone call? Now, do you still respect people like that? Because I take a look at the city council of Ferguson, and you know what I see? I see a bunch of white folk who told their children, we have power. We have control. Even though we are a numerical minority, we have the power and we have the control. And I am passing down to you my power and control, because without power and control, my white child, you cannot survive. They have got us outnumbered 2-1 here in Ferguson. As white people, my white child, you cannot survive unless you have power, because they will overrun you. So the only way you can survive is with power, wealth, and influence. And the only way to gain power, wealth, and influence is through what you own, what you control, and what you are passing down. And I am passing this down to you. I just explained to you all why Ferguson and your town, Detroit, Oakland, LA, Dallas, St. Louis, why you're in the same situation. We did all that rioting back in '91, and the black population has simply continued to fall in Los Angeles. We rioted in Los Angeles in 1991, and what do we have to show for it? We did not use that as an opportunity to take over. We used that as an opportunity to file grievances. Brothers and sisters, you cannot fix your problem if you do not understand your problem. And if you are a coward, you will neither fix nor understand your problem. This is the only place that explains that. I'm not the most popular guy because I'm the guy who actually says that, you know what, you ought to go ask your parents if they are worthy of respect. You ought to go ask them that. You ought to go ask them that. Would you like to know how power works? Would you like to know, brothers and sisters, exactly how power works? Exactly how you use it? What you do with it? Would you like for me to tell you how power works? Let me give you a textbook study in power, wealth, influence, through what you own, what you control, and what you're passing down. To explain the future, let us first take a look at the past. 112 years ago, to be exact. From Justin Hyde at Motoramic. August 22nd, Cadillac was founded by Henry Leland on this date in 1902. Yes, brothers and sisters, Cadillac, the car company, the luxury car company. A lot of you want to drive a Cadillac, but do you even know how Cadillac came into being? Most of you do not. Among the other things that you're going to learn today, you're going to learn how Cadillac came into being. And not just Cadillac. you need to know where Cadillac came from. Henry Leland had to stop a funeral. An experienced engine builder and businessman, Leland had been hired by Henry Ford's investors to liquidate what was left of the Henry Ford Company in 1902 after Ford had grown sick of their meddling and set off on his own. Now, for those of you who do not know, when Henry Ford started the Ford Motor Company, he had a group of investors. And from the very beginning, he was always concerned about those investors. He was concerned because the people who put in money have ownership. And people who have ownership can start telling you what to do. They started wanting to tell him how to make the cars, how to use the plant, he wanted to build, I believe the situation that really jumped off was he wanted to build the huge new plant. He wanted to build a huge new plant. And they were kind of flittish about that because they were like, that's going to be a huge expenditure. We're already spending a lot of money right now. We don't really want to do that. And he was like, I want to build a huge plant where we can crank out 1,000 Fords a day. And they were like, no, not so much. So Henry Ford was like, you know what? He went through some scheming and whatnot. Basically, he wanted to get out from under the Henry Ford Motor Company so he could start his own company. Since he now had the money to do it, he wanted to start his own company. And he left the original company. He got some money out of it. He left the original company and said, you know what? I'm out of here. Well, what happened? Now, that was when he started the Ford Motor Company. But what happened to the Henry Ford Company? The company that he started. Well, he left it. What happened to it? Henry Leland looked around the Ford Company plant and told the investors that the company should keep going. And they renamed it for the French explorer who founded Detroit, Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac. For those of you who did not know where the name Cadillac came from. And on this date, 112 years ago, Henry Leland's genius created Cadillac, one of 3 successes that would eventually make Detroit as we know it today, but break Leland's spirit in the process. That was where the name Cadillac came from. And yes, the company that you all know today, or should I say the moniker that you all know today is Cadillac, came from the original Henry Ford Motor Company. That is where the name Cadillac came from. Now, the story goes on to say, by most accounts, Leland wasn't easy to work for. Isn't that interesting how what people say about Leland sounds so similar to Henry Ford, by the way? They said that Ford was difficult to work for. He even estranged his own son, Edsel. And about Leland, he wasn't easy to work for either. But understand why. An engineer by trade, he demanded precision from those around him, often bluntly. By the time the Ford investors brought him in, Leland had a reputation as a talented engine builder, believing parts should be interchangeable, and his engine was compact enough he carried it into the meeting with investors. By 1903, the first Cadillac with Leland's engine hit the market, and soon Cadillac became the best-selling cars in America, renowned for a reliability that most startup car makers couldn't match. So you see, he didn't just want to make a good car, he wanted to make the best. And this is why your CEOs of your car companies today are failures. He was an engineer, like Steve Jobs. He understood cars, and he loved cars. That woman, Bara, who runs GM today, yes, she worked on the plant, but she doesn't understand cars, and she doesn't love them. Neither did Alan Mulally. Neither do any of the other people who run these car companies, except in Germany. In Germany, they do. And that's why they make probably the best cars on earth. They understand them, they engineer them, and it's engineers who go on to run these companies in the highest levels. Well, guess what? Henry Leland, the man responsible for Cadillac, he was an engineer. specifically an engine, a car engine engineer, a motor engineer. And that was why he was and he crafted an engine with a quality that his competitors could match. But wait, he's not done yet, by the way. If this sounds a lot like Steve Jobs, people, you're right. He's not done yet. Now, the story goes on to say, after the investors sold Cadillac to General Motors in 1909, Leland and his son stayed on as its managers. However, a year later, GM was teetering on the brink of collapse from an acquisition binge. In other words, they were buying up a bunch of nameplates. They bought up a bunch of names and basically ran themselves into the ground. And it was Leland who went to Wall Street bankers that led to a financial lifeline for the company. So he got Wall Street banks to give General Motors money to help shore them up after all those companies they bought. But one that also brought a new board of directors who didn't understand Leland's demand that his vehicles be great rather than just good enough. Leland fought with them over many of his technical innovations. After his friend was killed while trying to start a car with a hand crank, Leland oversaw the development of the first electric starter. He also built the first water-cooled V8 engine, the descendants of which power millions of vehicles today. For those of you who do not know, on the earliest automobiles, they didn't have radiators. Overheating was a very common problem. They didn't have radiators. For those of you who didn't know, and they did not have starters. What they had was this hand crank on the front of the car. You had to bust off the engine with this hand crank on the front. So in effect, you were the starter. But as you all can imagine, that was dangerous. And the reason that it was dangerous is, imagine a crank on the front of the crankshaft of your car today. Imagine a rod sticking out the front of your car today. Well, when the engine busts off and you're still holding that rod, what could happen? It could fly around and hit you in the head and kill you. And believe it or not, the first motor vehicle accident, or the first death from a motor vehicle, didn't involve a car accident. The first fatal car accident was a man who had turned the crank. For those of you who did not know, the first automobile death, the first automobile related death, was from a man turning the crank on the front of his car. But do you know what? I got a question. Now that you all understand how dangerous that was, now that you understand how dangerous cranks on the front of the car were, I got a question for you. Did they stop putting cranks on the front engines of automobiles even after it was clear? Even after it was clear what was going on, and that people were potentially dying from the use of those things, did they immediately stop producing automobiles? Did they immediately stop constructing them? Did they immediately cancel the car industry? No! These men became millionaires and billionaires on the blood of their customers. They became millionaires and billionaires on the blood of their customers. That was what they did. And they want you and me to sit up here today and to think that we as black people have to play by a different set of rules than everybody else. They built their fortunes on the graves of customers. They built their fortunes on the blood of the very people who bought their products. But they want to yell at you and me for the dope dealers. The only thing that I fault Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas, Frank James, all the rest of their ilk, the only thing that I fault them for is the only damn thing you did was buy the Apollo Theater. Y'all understand something. BMF, Black Mafia Family, they were making like $100 million. Nicky Barnes was making 74. His organization, they estimated, was making $74 million a year. Back in 72, 73, they were making $74 million a year. And tell me, Nicky Barnes, what do you have to show for that $74 million a year? You ought to be looking. His organization should have been looking like the Kennedys, looking like the Fords. Should have been urban empires. That is what I fault you for, Nicky Barnes. Had your money gone to build a black Wall Street and build black empowerment, I would have chalked everybody who took them drugs up to the price of empowerment. Oh yeah, I said it just like that. It is terrible, it is tragic, it is unfortunate, and it is the way that every empire in history has been built. Is it the preferred mode of travel? No. Would I ever take drugs? No. But you know what? I probably would not have built an engine that the crank would kill people. I probably wouldn't have done that either. But guess what? I got 3 cars sitting out there right now. And I have bought dozens of cars in my life. Dozens. Most of them domestics. So you know what that means? That means that I spent my money at the companies that built themselves on the graves of customers. See, I'm just being honest about it. The rest of you are telling yourselves lies. I'm just the guy who's being honest. And I don't see a one of you talking about I'll never drive a car again. So get the hell out of here. Before you start trying to preach, you can just get the hell out of my face. Welcome to the real world. Liberian Sun in the chat room said that segueing dirty money into a means of black empowerment. Let me tell y'all something, people. There's no such thing as clean money. That creature does not exist. By its very definition, money is dirty. There is no such animal as clean money. Now, hopefully, you can make money in a manner that you can live with. I certainly hope you can. But I don't have any moral ambiguity about money. I understand what it is. And that's just real life. It's just time to be damn adults. Just time to be some damn adults. But if you don't like your money, you're definitely invited to drop it off with me. I'll take it. I'll take it. Now, the story goes on to say that Leland stuck to his principles, and that led to his ruin. He quit General Motors when GM refused to aid the effort for World War I, and he decided to build a factory for V-12 aircraft engines. Leland named the factory after the first president he'd voted for. Now, Leland made a factory for V-12 aircraft engines, and he named that factory after the first president that he voted for, the Lincoln Motor Company. That's right, folks. The first Ford Motor Company became Cadillac, and the guy most responsible for starting Cadillac started his own car company, which became Lincoln. That's right, all of them go back to the central nucleus of the first Henry Ford Company. Yeah, most of you did not know that. Wait a minute, Cadillac and Lincoln are luxury car brands, but they both came from the same guy? Yes, and that is why Cadillac and Lincoln, throughout all their ads, they do not talk about the founder of Cadillac, and more importantly, Lincoln does not talk about the founder of the Lincoln Car Company. They don't like to mention Henry Leland very much, because then you're starting to get into Cadillac. And Ford does not really want to draw those parallels, to be totally honest with you. Cadillac don't want to do it either. So that's why you don't actually hear them say very much about them. But yes, the same man who was responsible for Cadillac was responsible for Lincoln Car Company as well. Now, when the Army abruptly canceled the contract and left Lincoln with a massive debt, Leland returned to luxury cars, with the first Lincolns rolling out in 1920. 1920, now how long was that before the Great Depression? But an economic downturn forced the company into bankruptcy, and only Henry Ford saw fit to bid for its assets. While Ford made a show of keeping Leland, then 79, on at the Lincoln Company, he quickly undermined Leland and his son until both resigned in protest and filed suit. Leland died a decade later, having started the two great American luxury automakers, and saved GM, but with nothing to show for it. Well, not quite nothing. During the internal debate at GM over whether to build his V8, Leland had Cadillac's ad agency craft a rebuttal that ran once in the Saturday Evening Post in January 1915, titled "The Penalty of Leadership," which stands as one of the greatest ads ever written, and works as well as a manifesto for Leland and anyone who has ever fought for greatness against settling for good enough. Now, in a moment, I'm going to read the entire text of that ad, "The Penalty for Leadership," in just a moment. But before I do, I want you all to understand that that is supposed to be our story. We are the people who first invented metal, metalworking, metallurgy. We are the people who first invented craftsmanship, woodcrafting, masonry. We are the people who built the structures that thousands of years later they're still trying to figure out how the hell we did it. With all the technology we have today, and they don't know how we did it. We are the people who invented all of these things. It runs in our blood, and yet the blacks of today are unworthy. Africans today are unworthy of the majesty of our ancestors in Africa. We are unworthy of it. And I am saying that that is criminal, a criminal affront to our icons and our heirs. It is criminal. These are supposed to be our success stories. We are supposed to be doing all those things today. And maybe we had an excuse 100 years ago. But brothers and sisters, we are going to have to see overcoming racism as our next pyramid. We built the first pyramids and the second ones, and we need to see this. People who built the pyramids, and you can't take down white supremacy. It's not like these guys are geniuses. You know, when black people do finally overcome white supremacy, our great-great-grandchildren are going to shake their heads in shame when they take a look at Paula Deen and say, y'all were getting beat by her. Let me get this straight. Bull Connor, an illiterate thug hillbilly, was putting a leash on y'all and riding you around like camels? Really? You all were dominated by that? Our great-great-grandchildren will be ashamed of it, and we should be ashamed today. It is a disgrace when the likes of George Wallace and their ilk and David Duke are calling the shots to us. You should be ashamed of that. Brothers and sisters, we're going to go ahead and read that for you now. And I hope that you get something out of this. I hope you get something out of it. In every field of human endeavor, he that is first must perpetually live in the white light of publicity. Whether the leadership be vested in a man or in a manufactured product, emulation and envy are ever at work. In art, in literature, in music, in industry, the reward and the punishment are always the same. The reward is widespread recognition. The punishment, fierce denial and detraction. When a man's work becomes a standard for the whole world, it also becomes a target for the shafts of the envious few. If his work be mediocre, he would be left severely alone. If he achieves a masterpiece, it will set 1,000,000 tongues a-wagging. Jealousy does not protrude its forked tongue at the artist who produces a commonplace painting. Whatsoever you write or paint or play or sing or build, no one will strive to surpass or to slander you unless your work be stamped with the seal of genius. Long, long after a great work or a great work has been done, those who are disappointed or envious continue to cry out that it cannot be done. Spiteful little voices in the domain of art were raised against our own Whistler as a mountebank, long after the big would had acclaimed him its greatest artistic genius. Multitudes flocked to Bayreuth to worship the musical shrine of Wagner, while the little group of those whom he had dethroned and displaced argued angrily that he was no musician at all. The little world continued to protest that Fulton could never build a steamboat, while the big world flocked to the riverbanks to see his boat steam by. The leader is assailed because he is a leader, and the effort to equal him is merely added proof of that leadership. Failing to equal or to excel, the follower seeks to depreciate and to destroy, but only confirms once more the superiority of that which he strives to supplant. There is nothing new in this. It is as old as the world and as old as human passions: envy, fear, greed, ambition, and the desire to surpass. And it all avails nothing. If the leader truly leads, he remains the leader. Master poet, master painter, master workman. Each in his turn is assailed, and each holds his laurels through the ages. That which is good or great makes itself known, no matter how loud the clamor of denial. That which deserves to live, lives. Brothers and sisters, that is supposed to be our story. That is supposed to be us. Hell, that used to be us. And on the sports field, we dominate. But that is not enough. We must strive for excellence in every single thing we do. We must strive to build modern marvels in every single thing we do. In Ferguson, Missouri, they should be striving to build an economic mecca in a place that they said you could not do it. The Israelis built an empire in the desert. Why is it that black folk can't do it in Ferguson? We are supposed to be showing the world that the creators of the pyramids are still building the marvels that the world wonders how we did it. That is what we are supposed to be doing. And we are failing. And that is why they are pressing us today and doing this to us today. and affronting us today. They are testing us, and they are seeing that we are failing the test. Jigaboonery and coonery and lampoonery and buffoonery rule the day in black society, and that is what we have to stop, because that, what I just read to you, that's supposed to be our story. Right here in my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana, General Motors built the plant out there, and they had done this billion-dollar expansion. And it was the plant where they built the Chevy S10 and the Sonoma, and then they rechristened them the Colorado and the Canyon. And then General Motors, right after they started this expansion, filed bankruptcy and started shutting down plants everywhere. Ultimately, they did shut down the plant here in Shreveport also. Even though I felt it was a wrong decision after all those tax breaks they had given them for so many decades, but that was what General Motors did. They closed their plant. We had had some hopes that maybe they would build another Hummer here, or a Chinese engine company would come here, but that never materialized. For those of you who don't have car plants where you live, you have to understand, a car plant is really only good for building cars. You can't, they're massive facilities. They're laid out in a specific way that really is only good for assembling things. Unless you're going to just gut the structure and turn it into a giant warehouse. That's really all you could do with it. They're just massive structures. And they're really only good for building cars. That's what they're laid out and built for. All the electricity and stuff, it's just a massive undertaking. When General Motors reconstituted itself, they have recently announced that they would start building some new Colorado and Canyon trucks. They're going to be mid-sized trucks, but they made the decision that these two would not be built in Shreveport. They made that decision. They would not be building them here. But you know what? There's another guy who said, you know, if General Motors don't want to use that plant, I got a couple of ideas. Matter of fact, I got a few ideas. Okay, not a few. Only got one idea, but stick around. It's a hell of an idea. Just stick around for it. Fella's got an unusual name. His name is Elio, E-L-I-O. Elio or Elio. And Elio said, I've got an idea for a new type of fuel-efficient car. And since they're not doing anything with that car plant in Shreveport, I think I can build my car there. Now, this Elio guy is a pretty creative fella. Because you see, his car is really small, but it's going to have airbags and the whole 9 yards. But there's one trick to this car. This car has 3 wheels. And that is what makes this car an economic innovation. Because you see, why would you build a car that only has 3 wheels? He built a car that only has 3 wheels because most states do not consider a vehicle with less than 4 wheels to be a car. In most states, you have to have 4 wheels to be considered an automobile. Anything less with that is regulated and classified as a motorcycle. So he calls it a car. But the states consider his car to be a motorcycle. But do you know what that means? Because it is a motorcycle, it is not regulated as an automobile by the federal government. So he gets to market it as a car and call it a car and tell you it's a car and sell it to you as a car, but as far as the government is concerned, that is a motorcycle. Even though it's got a hood and a roof and a windshield, the whole 9 yards, they say It is a motorcycle because it has 3 wheels. So he escapes all the government and state regulations that would come with dealerships and environmental regulations and emissions and the whole 9 yards. He escapes all of that because his car is considered a motorcycle. And he has already received 27,000 pre-orders for the Elio. That's right, 27,000. And the car, they want to sell it for around $7,000. Going to be between $6,000 to $8,000 for this car. That's right. Now, I want to know, while Kanye West is out there chasing clothing deals that will never materialize, while Magic Johnson can find $1 billion to try to buy a B-grade NBA team, while he can do that, I want to know, where's your idea to do this, my friend? This white man can come to my city of Shreveport, grab the GM plant, and start saying, you know what, we're going to do this thing like this. Now, I want you all out there to just go ahead and do the math for us right quick, okay? If this car is going to sell for $7,000, and yet he's got 27,000 pre-orders, tell me, how much money is Elio poised to make? How much money? If you figure he's got 27,000 pre-orders, and if he can finagle another 27,000 pre-orders, if you figure that over the course of the next few years he can at least put out 55,000, 60,000 cars, how much money would that be? I'm going to give you a couple of moments here. I'm trying to teach you, so I'm going to give you a couple of moments to add that up right quick. How much money does his company stand to make in the next few years if he is able to put out, he's already got 27,000 pre-orders, if he's able to double that and get around 60,000 cars produced, tell me, how much money would that be for his company? How much? I'm asking you. How much money would that be? The answer is going to be about $400 million. Now, here's what Mr. Elio is planning on doing, okay? I'm going to tell you right now what he's planning on doing. What he's planning on doing is he's going to take that $400 million, he's going to go to Wall Street, he's going to get some investment bank to give him a $2 to $5 billion line of credit. That's what he's going to do. He's going to take that $400 million, get a company valuation of $1 billion, and get Wall Street to give him a line of credit of $2 to $5 billion. Once he does that, the next Elio car will have 4 wheels, not 3. You see, you don't come out the gate with the army you wish you had. You go to war with the one you got, but if you have a plan, then you build on it. And I'm telling you that based on what we're seeing here, this is not a man, y'all, that plan is too big for what he's trying to do. If he's going out there, that plant, and he fully well could have been doing this somewhere else cheaper, he's got plans on that plant doing That's a full-size plant out there on Burt Coons, everybody. The name of the street is Burt Coons, but that's a full-size plant out there on GM Boulevard off Burt Coons. That's a full-size plant, a full-size car-making plant. You can do whatever you want to do at that plant. Anything you want to do, you can do it there. And I'm telling you that he could have made this car for much cheaper somewhere else. He did not go somewhere cheaper because he's got long-term plans. And I'm telling you that his long-term plan is going to be a full-sized Elio. That's what I'm telling you. That this guy believes, like Tesla, that the future is going to be super efficient cars. That General Motors and Ford are big, bulky, sloppy giants, and that they are not moving quickly enough, and that companies like his and Tesla are going to be taking market share. And that by the time that General Motors and Ford wake up, that his company will be number 3 or number 4. And I'm telling you that with the right marketing strategy, with the right market penetration, that he can do that. I'm telling you that they can do it. The Japanese did it. Go ahead and laugh at the Elio today. Go do it. Get on out there and go laugh at the Elio today. You go laugh at it. There won't be very much laughing. If this goes the way he wants it to, it's not going to be very much laughing. They laughed at the Japanese imports too. And Toyota is the #1 car maker in the world today. Go ahead and laugh. Now, I've got one question to my brothers and my sisters around the world. They've got a rim shop in Ferguson, but you don't have an Elio plant or a black version of the Elio plant. Hey, Nelly, what's your excuse? You got a rim shop in Ferguson. You Negroes ain't building a damn thing. What's your excuse? Everybody loves the Bugatti Veyron. That's why I haven't talked about how many employees the Elio plant's going to have. All of you love the Bugatti Veyron. Everybody wants a Bugatti Veyron. That's a car that Volkswagen loses money on. They lose money on the Bugatti Veyron. Technically speaking, for the overhead of that company, they lose like $5 or $6 million, they estimate, per Veyron. The car sells for $2.5 million, but in reality, they still lose millions of dollars per car. They built it, though, as a mantelpiece to show what their engineering is truly capable of. Do you know how many employees work on the assembly line of the Veyron? There's a nice video on YouTube. You all can go take a look at it. It's on YouTube. A nice video that they've done. The plant is clean, but it's not very big. Hell, it's really not much bigger than your average auto mechanic's garage. For those of you know, if you have a successful auto mechanic and you got a big size garage with like 5 or 6 bays, the Veyron is built in one of those kind of places. It is built by hand. There is no machinery in there at all. It is built by hand. Even when they bring the engine out, that great big V12, even when they bring it out, it's rolled out on a cart. It's not brought on an assembly line with machines picking it up. It is rolled out on a cart by a person who rolls it out by hand. They roll it out by hand. And guess what? The Lamborghini made the same way. No machine. Go take a look at how the Lamborghini is made. It's made the same way. They've got like 7-8 bays, and that car is constructed by hand. It is assembled by hand. That car is not a tribute of manufacturing. It is a tribute to craftsmanship. You've got a precision machine that was assembled by hand. And like on the Bugatti Veyron, everything on that car is precision. Every nut, every bolt, even though it's done by hand, they do it all with torque wrenches. Now, if you're not familiar with what a torque wrench is, look it up. Okay, a torque wrench basically measures foot-pounds of pressure. So you can take a look on there and you can tell, it basically lets you, a human being, put a precise amount of weight on a screw so you can tighten it down. Screws and bolts, you can tighten them down to a certain tightness. That's what a torque wrench allows you to do, is to precisely tighten something down to a precise amount. And that is how Bugattis are built, by hand. Did you all know that if you have to service the engine on a Bugatti, that they have to tear down the rear of the car? Did you know that? For those of you who do not know, when you open up the rear of a Bugatti Veyron, you cannot see the engine. It's just got these two silver metal covers. When you open up these two silver metal covers, there is no you cannot see the engine. The engine is completely covered over. And that is because the way the car is built, to reduce shaking and turbulence, the car is really built around the engine. The engine is not made to put into the car. The engine is put in place and the car is simply constructed around the engine. So you cannot get to the parts of that engine. And they engineered it that way. They engineered that car for performance, not maintenance. So to get to the engine, if your engine does require that type of service, you have to send it back to Volkswagen. That's right. You have to send the car back to Volkswagen. And then they will tear it down. They will tear it down. Now, how many people work in the car plant for Bugatti? 17. That's right. 17. 17 guys work in Bugatti. 17. Not hundreds of thousands. 17. And they pull down $2.2 million per car. Actually, it could be more than that because most Bugattis are sold at auction. But the going rate right now is about $2.2 million. That's right. Why is it that we as black men have not done that? Because you've got rappers all over the place. Maybach music. Maybach music. Aston Martin music. Aston Martin music. Will someone tell me, with all these rappers loving to talk about all these exotic cars, Why is it that they have been unable to build one? I told you all the recent story out of the Philippines. This is a damn disgrace. The Philippines, the Filipinos are kicking black men's asses today. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be mortified and humiliated of yourselves. The company is called Aurelio. They've got their own, quote, supercar. Not a bad looking machine either. They sell it for $37,000. Hell, the Camaro, the best Camaros and Dodge Chargers cost more than that. They are selling their own supercar for $37,000. How many guys work assembling the Aurelio? How many men work there? Hold on to your hats. 4. 4 guys build the Aurelio. Just 4. These are guys in the Philippines. You gonna tell me they got more money than black men in America? Not even close. But they build their own car. 4 guys build their own car. Now, granted, right now, the output that they're looking at is not so huge. They're figuring that, maybe they could make couple dozen a year, I think is what it was saying. They're hoping that they will be able to go ahead and do that. And I certainly hope that things come together for them like that. That would be a great idea. I think that would be a great thing if they're able to pull that kind of thing off. Now understand something, people. That car was the dream child of a 21-year-old engineering student. Brendan Aurelio. 21 years old. 21. Now, what I want to do right now is I want to find out what is your excuse as black men. What is our excuse? What is the excuse that you're going to give us? Tell me what excuse you think I'm going to listen to. I want you to tell me how a 21-year-old engineering student in the Philippines is kicking your ass with both feet. Now, at their current rate right now, they think they can probably do about a dozen. That's 4 guys saying, I can do a dozen. But brothers and sisters, let me tell you right now, I've got much more respect for those 4 Filipinos talking about give me a wrench and a place to stand, and I will go toe to toe with General Motors. And even though they don't build all the parts there and whatnot, the drivetrain, the powertrain, for those of you who don't know what a powertrain is, that's basically the engine and transmission. While those parts, come out of a different car, let me check on that. I want to be sure right quick before I sit up here and say names. The engine and the transmission come from Mitsubishi. Oh yeah, you all didn't think Mitsubishi did that much. It's a 4-cylinder, but it comes from Mitsubishi. Okay, fine. But here's the real thing. Amazing how those Asians stick together like that, huh? Anyway, this 21-year-old engineering student got together with 3 other guys and said, let's make our own car. No, it will not be. It's a flashy looking car. It's a nice looking car. We will build our own supercar. Will we be able to sell as many units as General Motors? No, we will not. Will our car even be as good as those? Kind of iffy to tell. But you know what? It'll be ours. And we will own it. And it'll belong to us. This car belongs to the Philippines. It belongs to our people. And now our people actually will have a choice. No, we're not at the level of GM and Ford starting out from day one. No. Is that your excuse for never doing it? By that definition, you should never live in a house, never buy a car, and never have clothes. Because you didn't start out with those either. So if the criterion is that we must start out where we plan to end up at, then that means there can be no growth or development ever in life. Negroes love coming up with petty, ridiculous, meaningless, pointless excuses. Everything is an excuse with black folk. They have a problem, they come back with excuses and not solutions. And this is why nobody respects you, because the world needs people who can provide solutions, not excuses. And black folk want to bring excuses and not solutions. This world cannot use that. Now, at their current rate of production, if they build 10 to 12 cars a year, that means it's going to take them about a month to build one car. A month. A month to build one car. But you know what? Give them time. Give them time. Because right now they ain't got to build 1,000 cars a day. Right now they're doing okay. And by them even doing this, they're telling you that they're pacing themselves. Someone please explain to me. Please explain to me. How is it? How is it that we as black people in America don't have an Aurelio, don't have an Elio, but got every other song bragging about what we have bought from non-black people? People do not respect you because of what you buy. People respect you from what you own. And there are some stupid people out there who are telling themselves that their ability to be consumers and what they are able to buy constitutes building, and that's not it at all. You do not get respect based on what you can buy. You get respect based upon what you can build. There is no such animal as consumer power. Only producer power. That's all. I would have much more respect for these rappers, ball players, everything else. I'd have much more respect if I saw that going on. Why do we not have a black cell phone company? I understand. I mean, I was talking about this last night. I put a post last night where I said, hey, we all loved In Living Color, didn't we? Didn't we all love In Living Color? Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to getting your show out to the masses, YouTube has made all people equal. Why is it that we haven't had a group of black men get together with just some DSLR cameras and do their own version of In Living Color? Why have we not had that? Tell me. Back in the day, we used to have Comic Strip Live, Comic View Live, The Laugh Factory. Why is it that we don't have a black version of that? What Corey Holcomb and Code Black Entertainment are doing and whatnot with stand-up comedians. People, that's not expensive to do. That's not terribly expensive. It's not. Why is it that we don't have that? Why not? I'm asking simple questions here. Why do we not have that? Why is it that we don't put on our own comedy routines and sell those ourselves? Do we really need HBO anymore? It's the 21st damn century. I could understand, folks, what they were doing with In Living Color, you could do it today with $10,000 and a YouTube account. What they were doing with In Living Color, Homie the Clown, please, let's just take that one skit alone, Homie the Clown. For those of you who are too young and don't remember In Living Color, go to YouTube and look it up for yourselves. How much money would it take to put on a skit where Homie the Clown is showing up for these children's birthday party? Tell me, how much initiative and resources does that take? We got bastard babies all over the place. Put them to use. Grab a bunch of kids, put them in the living room. We can bring in Turned Up the Clown. 21st century edition. Turned Up walks in. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Now y'all know right there, a clown named Turned Up. Yes, Billy Boy the Clown was sick today, so they sent Turned Up instead. I think he's a temp worker. Turned Up the temp worker clown. Brothers and sisters, they got Ask a Slave on YouTube. All you need is a set and a camera. You got Awkward Black Girl. How much would it take to set up a 5-minute skit? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just 5. On Saturday Night Live, the average skit is not 30 minutes long, people. It's only a few minutes. It's only a few minutes. If you could do a 5-minute skit twice a week, just 2 times a week, that's it. 2 times a week. That's all. That's all. Imagine that. In Living Color was a variety show. So you had Damon Wayans as Homie the Clown and his Oswald Bates. If you don't remember Oswald Bates, go look it up on In Living Color. You had Men on Film. You had Jamie Foxx. You can go take a look at it for yourselves, brothers and sisters. White folk want to focus on Jim Carrey. In Living Color, and the only one white folk wanted to talk about was the white guy. And that is an atrocity, by the way. That's white supremacy at work. But if it weren't for In Living Color, Jim Carrey would be a nobody. If it weren't for Arsenio, Red Hot Chili Peppers would be a nobody too, but we can keep going down that list. Black folk have been springboarding other people. We need to springboard ourselves. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. A black business needs to be like a soul food restaurant. Let me say this again. A black business needs to be like a soul food restaurant. The only thing on the menu is what black people are serving. That's it. The only mistake that In Living Color made was allowing Jim Carrey to be on there for more than... He should have been showing up on that show once every month. And that should have been it. He should have been on there once a month, because you could have seen what Fox and the TV studios and stuff were going to do immediately. Brothers and sisters, there's no reason for us to be sitting up here giving away what we got. Everything we have should be run like a black soul food restaurant. Our movies, our music, our skits, our companies. So that way, the only way you get in is through us. And you can buy what we have. You can buy it. You can lease it. But you cannot own it. And you cannot change it. You can buy what we got and you can lease what we got, but you cannot own what we got. And you can only use it in the form in which we give it to you. We can only give it to you in the way in which we constituted it. Now, you can pay us more, you can pay us less, but you cannot change it. But let's just be honest, most of these black folk out here who call themselves comedians ain't very damn funny in the first place. That mess that UPN and WB put out is absolutely corny garbage, but they choose people who are corny and garbage because they're easy to control. If you are a black comedian today and you're not making any money, it's your own damn fault. I'm just saying it like it is. If you are a black comedian today and you are making no money, that is your own fault. Nobody else's. Nobody else's. As black people today, everybody is on YouTube with their damn cell phone cameras talking crap. But I don't see anybody saying, you know what? What would it take for me to do an In Living Color? First thing dumb Negroes say is, I need a TV network. You don't need a damn thing from the TV networks. Start making a name for yourself. Make a name for yourself. Make a name for yourself, get a camera, and let's get it cracking. There's no excuses in the 21st century. None whatsoever. Grab you a good quality camera. If you don't know one, your homeboy knows. Get you a good quality camera and say, man, let's make this thing jump off. And I know there's some black fellas on YouTube doing it now, and there's one fella in particular. He's like an artist or animator or something. One high yellow dude with glasses, his name escapes me at the moment. And he's good. He gets like 500,000 views per video. We got 1 or 2. We're 13% of the population, but we're 0.00001 of the usable material on YouTube. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. If you're really talented and you're not making any money, that's your own fault. That's just your own fault. Brothers and sisters, we've got too many options available to us now to hear the tremendous number of excuses that we're hearing. This ain't gonna work, people. This is not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. As a people, we have become a forgettable and throwaway class of the earth. Not of society. We are the throwaway people of the earth. Because we own nothing, we control nothing, and we are passing nothing down. And even 20 years ago, when we talked about I can't do it in living color because I don't have a network, that was one thing. But today, the internet is the premier vehicle for the world. And we still got black folk talking about what they can't do. So what that really tells you is that in living color and a TV network were not the problem. You just ain't trying to do nothing. And that is the problem. You're just not trying to do anything. Now, what I want to know is how many of you want to join that number? How many of you want to sit there and get gobbled up? How many of you? How many of you want to sit there and get totally destroyed? Now, if you want to do that, you go right ahead. But I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you, in the 21st century, understand, white supremacy, as their numbers get smaller, their viciousness will get bigger. As their options seem to start getting cornered in and seem to start dwindling, the amount of brutality that they are going to be able to accept being aimed and leveled on you is going to increase. because you see how they treated you when they were the majority as in America. As they slide into minority status, they're just going to say to hell with it. Everything's fair game, whatever we want to do with you. Everything is fair game. Everything is fair game when that happens. Now, you have a bit of a problem if you are looking for ways to be weak. And as black people in America are looking for ways to be weaker, these other people are just trying to decide what they need to do to gobble you up. Now, you're going to have a choice to make whether you wish to survive. But I'm going to tell you right now, poor people do not have any rights. What you own, what you control, and what you are passing down, that is what constitutes and justifies your rights. Without those things, you don't have any. Now, get busy building or get busy dying. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember that black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.